Hey, welcome to the show. It's RebelRebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargie, and across the country from me, all the way over in Toronto, Ontario, is Laura Stewart. Laura, how are you doing?
Hi, Michael. I'm doing great. Yes, I'm over here in the big city of Toronto.
The big smoke.
The big smoke.
How are things going out there?
Oh, my goodness. Well, Ontario's in our third lockdown.
Yeah.
So luckily, I'm a real estate agent and I'm considered an essential service. So I get to come to the office. I'm super grateful for that.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a tough go, as for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, but the real estate market, just side note, is going crazy. Absolutely crazy. Multiple offers on anything and everything.
Wow, I see that in the news, like, and it's across it's across the country. It's like all across Canada.
Yeah. I know the US too, I'm hearing. So people have been, I think we've all been waiting, right? Like when we were all holding our money, not sure what was going to go on. And then all of a sudden now everyone's like, okay, like we're going to get through this. And now I've saved all this money because I haven't gone on a single vacation. I haven't gone to a restaurant. I haven't done anything. So now they're all buying real estate, which I mean, I feel very blessed. I'm very, very lucky to be in this industry.
Wow. Well, so let's talk about that for a sec, because you didn't start there. You started in nutrition. You went to retail buying. You found yourself as a real estate. Like, how did you get from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, Michael, I wish I could say that this was my master plan. And I found a diary from when I was 10 years old and I wrote it all down. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it. And now here I am having done it.
Yeah.
That's not my story. A vision board might have been useful for me when I was younger, but I didn't do any of that stuff. And so I kind of just made decisions as I went along and I just went with my gut. So I started my undergraduate degree is in nutrition. That's a very, very specialized degree. You weren't even allowed to have a minor because there weren't enough electives. So the idea with that degree is that you would move on and work in a hospital as a dietitian.
Yeah.
In order to do that, though, at least in the province of Ontario, you have to do an internship. And I was the last of the OAC graduating students. So for those who are listening who don't know what OAC is,
I was about to ask.
I've just aged myself. And if you're not from Ontario, you don't know as well. So that's essentially grade 13. And so the government decided to get rid of grade 13.
Yeah.
So now high school goes up to grade 12 and you go off to university instead of having grade 13. So I was the final grade 13 year, which meant I had to graduate with the grade 12 year. So it was a double cohort year, double the amount of applications to universities. Universities tried to get more students to come in, but I mean, there's only so much they can do. The lecture halls are only so big. The residences are only so big. So it was very, very competitive just to get into the industry. Now, fast forward 4 years when I'm about done my degree. Well, now you have double the graduating students again, or more, I should say, than they would have any year. So the hospitals who would have normally been taking students in for internships were like, well, we don't have any extra funding. The government didn't give us any more money to help you students. And so I was kind of faced with this, like, I don't think my grades are good enough. And I was a good student. I'll preface by saying I was a good student. Like I was an 80 student.
Wow.
But it was so competitive. Like most of the hospitals around here only had 3, 4, 5, maybe intern spots. And I was not, you needed 90 average plus to get into there. And that was not me. I partied a little too hard in university. So.
Now the truth comes out.
Yeah. So, so I was kind of like, I guess I'm not going to go down this path. I mean, I could have fought a little bit harder, but quite honestly, after the end of 4 years, I was like, I don't even really like this. I'm not like any of the other students in my class. Like you start to look around and be like, I'm more so friends with people who were in the business programs and maybe we just had more in common. I don't know what it was, but I decided to just let it go. So I took some time to reevaluate what I wanted to do. And I said, well, I've always been interested in fashion. Like I really, I got my nice little bow on here.
You do have a nice bow. I love it.
I love the art of putting clothes together. I love the thrill of shopping. So I thought this is, what am I, 22 years old, right? What 22-year-old girl does like shopping?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to get in the fashion industry. So I go back to school to do a certificate and I apply for an internship at Holt Renfrew, which is Canada's top luxury department store. Mm-hmm. So this is like, if I could land this job, I just thought this is incredible, or this internship. And I got it. I don't even know how I got it. I had no experience. Most of the people who were applying had fashion backgrounds, like went to school for fashion or college for fashion. It turns out it was the fact that I grew up ski racing that landed me that job, because me and the person who was hiring just clicked off that. So sidebar, anybody, put those interests and all those weird things about yourself on your resume, because you have no idea. Anyway, so I got the job and I'm working there for a year, and it's now 2009. So after, the crash and everything that happened in the market, certainly in the US, that impacted luxury sales. People got a little bit scared. And so the company was kind of like, we can't really hire you full time. We'd like to, but we're on a hiring freeze. So that made me reevaluate again. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to be a buyer for Holt Renfrew. I want to buy Holt Renfrew clothes. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, I'm not on the path. I'm not going to be a person who's able to afford anything at this store anytime soon. And so I thought, I got to reevaluate again. And at that point I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my MBA, because I'm a believer in education. And I just felt like that can't hurt. And if I'm not really sure what I want to do, let's just give it a try. It's never going to be a bad thing. Right. So at 26 years old, I decided to go back to university part-time in the evenings and take a full-time job during the day as a special needs caregiver, which is really a nice word for me saying a nanny to a person with special needs. It was just one individual. She was, I think at the time, 18 years old. She had autism and Tourette's. And so she was quite a handful. And I being the youngest of the two siblings in my house, and like, I'd never babysat. I had no experience doing this. But yeah, I know. But the parents were like, well, your nutrition degree. So now it all comes from your nutrition degree. We want her to lose a little bit of weight. You can be helpful with that. So I was like, okay. So I did that during the day. In the evenings, I would then go and do my courses at school. That took 3 years.
Like executive MBA kind of thing?
No, that was a full MBA, not an executive MBA. I think is 1 year. This was like a 3-year program. And I remember thinking after my first semester, I was like, I can't do this. Like I think it would be 3.5 years in total. And I was like, I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to be 29 when I'm done. This is crazy. I'm going to be so old. It's terrible. I'm only starting my career and I'm pretty much 30 and my life is over. And so I decided to fast track. So I took an additional course every semester and I got it done in 2.5 years. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm coming up on the end. Like, what am I going to do with this degree? I contemplated getting into like the marketing branding space, because I really love that stuff. And then my husband, he's a commercial real estate agent. He was like, I think you'd be really good at real estate. So here's this person, like, imagine this. I'm at like, the bar after class and stuff with all of my peer group who, they're all working, and they're working at banks, and they want to be chartered accountants, and they actually have like pretty good jobs already. And the MBA is going to help them get to the next level. And then here's me like, I'm going to be a real estate agent and I'm currently a nanny. Like, I did not fit in there at all. And it was quite humorous, actually.
Wow.
But then I decided to do real estate. So while I was working and doing my MBA, I started taking my real estate license, and then welcome to where I am now. I've been doing this for just over 6 years now.
Incredible. And you guys are busy. Like, we
are busy. You actually caught me on like a really busy day. We just launched a new build project here in Toronto. We had, I think it was 47 reservation forms. So people putting their hand up saying, I want a unit if you can get me one. And we only, as of right now, we only got 10 units from the developer. So we're hoping to get another 10, but there's a lineup of people.
Isn't that crazy? So how do you sort of manage this? Because I want to, you're a very busy person. We're in the middle of COVID. The housing market's exploding. You've got a great dog named Rudy who must need your attention. Like, how do you balance all of that stuff?
Oh, Michael, you bring up my dog. I love you now. Well, look, I don't have kids. So that, that does save me a little bit of time. I see a lot of my friends specifically my female friends, that's a full-time job in and of itself. So
sure.
Rudy, at least I can leave in the house and leave him.
Yeah.
he might bite a sock or a slipper or something like that, but I can leave him alone for a number of hours. But honestly, like, I like what I do. I really do. I try to explain to my friends, because like, you work so many weekends and evenings, and I'm like, but when you're excited and you're passionate about it, it doesn't feel like work. And I think when I was in my 20s doing all those changes, you start to think, well, what do my friends think about me? And I'm sure most of them, never really said anything. Or if they did, they were just kind of like, oh, wow, that's a big change. Don't you think you should stick with this a little bit longer or whatever it may be? But I just had this like kind of gut instinct of like, no, I need to find happiness, and happiness is going to come from what I do day in and day out.
Yeah.
I got to enjoy it. And so I think that's what kind of kept me going to look for something else. It wasn't because I was just like, oh, bored of that, or because I wasn't willing to work hard. I was willing to work very hard, but I just needed to find that one thing. And so I'm really glad I made all those changes along the way, because now you figure it out. Like I got an assistant a couple months ago to help me like with everything from like help me do my taxes to help me pick up, return some clothing I bought online that I need returned to helping me with my actual business. Right. And so I think if you're willing to part ways with some money, and you don't, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, right? They think they don't want to leave some money on the table, but by me doing that, that's allowed me to do more deals.
Right.
So it ends up coming back.
What's your favorite part about what you're doing? I mean, when I think real estate, I'm just like, well, you got to show up all the time and show people stuff. And it seems like I don't know, not a thankless job, because I mean, obviously you get well paid for it. But what's your favorite part about it? Like what gets you up in the morning?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I should sort of preface this by saying I did the regular real estate for about the first 2 years I was in this industry, which was the door knocking and the getting your neighbors to list or help people buy. Since then, I've actually found an incredible niche, which was working with investor clients. And they're amazing because they do multiple transactions.
Right.
Like I'm working with somebody who just bought a pre-built condo 2 months ago, and now they're about to do another one.
Oh, brilliant.
Versus an end user, right? Where they're probably just saving just to buy that one. Now I'm working with people who are doing it again and again. You get to know them. They become like family.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. And I do the pre-build. So I hardly leave the office. Like, as I said, like I'm in the office right now. I hardly leave here. I do most of my business from my phone and from my computer. And that's a lot of fun for me because it allows me to do stuff like this, like be on your podcast and meet you, as well as like, I'm a co-host of a podcast myself. And like I said, I love this branding and all this stuff that goes with it. So I help the branding for our team we have 43 agents on our team, and I help with all the branding and the systems involved in that.
Incredible. Well, and I mean, the show that you guys are on is so fun, and you get the craziest guests, and I just love what you guys put out there. It looks so professional. It's just well done.
Well, thank you. I'm laughing a little bit because you say professional. If you knew about us circa 2018 when we started the podcast, I was the tech person. I don't know how to do anything through technology. Like I didn't set up any of this now. It was my team, which you saw and heard from when we were setting up, but that didn't come till much later. So at the start, I was the one, like I would download the audio file and figure out how to put music that I figured out how to steal from the internet. Don't do that, by the way, don't do that. And put it on the front. And then I had to figure out how to upload it to like, where does this go? This podcast? Like, so I Googled it. I watched YouTube videos. I just educated myself on how to do it. And now it's snowballed into what it is today. And thank goodness we have a team now who helps me because I don't have to worry about setting the mics up or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun though.
Isn't that interesting? Do you still write? Like you're a blogger, you're a co-host, you're like all this stuff. So where do you find your other outlets?
Oh, that's such a good question. I have got a lot of weird little outlets like that. So yes, I do have a blog that I don't do. Like it's not like a weekly blog. I kind of do it when I can fit it in. Cause as you mentioned, I'm quite busy and I do like writing. My mother's an incredible writer, but she's a little bit too fearful to actually put her stuff out there. So I'm kind of doing this to kind of show her like, You can do it. No,
Yeah.
it's going to be fine. No one's going to make fun of you. And if they do, who cares? So I'm trying to like inspire her through putting my own blog out there to do it. But I do things like I journal. I do some artwork. Like right now I'm really into this painting by numbers. I don't know if you've heard of this. Yes. No. It's like, coloring by numbers when you were a kid, you color. So it's like that, but paint. And it's like supposed to be very relaxing and stress relieving. And I took this hobby up when COVID lockdown first started, because I was like, I'm going to lose it if I have to stay at home. I love my dog and my husband, but not that much. You know what I mean? So I just got into painting. And so I do, like, I dabble in a lot of different things. I'm always looking for something to keep myself stimulated on any of my free time, which again is not much. It takes me months to do a painting. So there you go.
Oh, that's, and what's your favorite painting? Are you like a landscape person? Are you a portraiture? Like, what's your paint by numbers go-to?
So my paint by numbers go-to is skulls with like flowers coming out of the skull.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I don't know what attracted me to a skull. Like, it's quite morbid, especially, during the start of COVID. And I'm like here painting a skull in, but it's something really beautiful about the juxtaposition about like death, but the flowers and the color of the flowers. So I don't know. That's my thing. Maybe I'll hang them on the wall one day. I don't know.
That's outstanding. What is the craziest thing that you've ever done?
Holy smokes, the craziest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking for skydiving and
I don't know,
with the sharks and stuff, aren't you?
Well, I don't. Yeah, maybe you the first time you did public speaking. Crazy is different for everybody.
That's true. I actually really enjoy public speaking. Sidebar, like I was into drama as a teenager, and I was in a play like that we produced, and I had to. Yeah. Oh my God, I had to take like 3 buses to get there every night just to practice for the play. So I actually really like performing and speaking. Yeah. The craziest thing I've ever done. I mean, like, zip lining's not that crazy. I shoot guns sometimes.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. What kind of, like, rifles or handguns?
Rifles. I have shot a handgun, but only in Florida because they allow you to do that stuff there without really doing any background checks on you. So Florida. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. They pretty much gave me like a 2-second tutorial and they were like, have a good time. So I was like, okay. But yeah, my husband's dad has rifles and shotguns, like legally one. Yeah. And we can shoot skeet and stuff like that. And I find that's a super fun thing to do. Yeah. I don't shoot animals. I'm not into that. I'm not hunting for deer or birds or anything. I just like shooting the clays. Yeah.
I've never done that. I've always wanted to. It's been on my list of things to do.
It's a lot of fun. You should try it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So if you were to sort of go back in time, what's sort of that childhood memory that comes up to be like one of those things that maybe helped define you to who you are today?
Well, it's as soon as you say childhood memory, I mean, I was that type of kid who, I'm born in December.
Okay.
So already that puts me like 11 months behind the January kids.
Right.
So when you're 4 and they're 5 and they've been 5 for almost a full year, like I'm smaller than them already, but I was also a small kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, I looked like I was 2 years behind these kids. Like in every single class photo, I'm right in the front and I'm like, everyone else is towering over me.
Oh, wow.
My mother almost held me back from going to junior kindergarten because she just said, you were so tiny. I thought you would just get trampled over. As it turns out, this story has been told to me, but as it turns out, my first day, we go to line. The teacher says, have all the kids line up to come inside, and a kid butt in front of me. And apparently I gave him one of these on his back, tap, tap, tap. And I was like, back of the line, no butting allowed.
Yes.
Yeah. And the teacher said, I think she's going to be just fine. And that's honestly been my attitude. Like I've never really been that type of person who felt I couldn't do anything. People always say, oh, like my grandmother's like, you were always climbing up trees and you wanted to get higher and further. And she goes, and your older brother was like, nah, I'm good. Like on the second branch, but I was always pushing myself outside my comfort zone. I was very mentally strong as a kid. I remember playing tag And people were saying, how are you so fast? Because like, again, they're so much taller than me.
Right.
And I was just like, just run faster. Like,
obviously,
to me, it was all in the mind. Like, if choose to run faster, you know? So I think I've just been like that throughout, which has just been like, try stuff, try harder. And if you fail, get yourself back up and do it again. And don't let these little things like, I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm a woman and I'm not going to be able to move up in the ranks, or they have other things that they might feel they're at a disadvantage from. And I can only relate from the female perspective, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, don't let that stop you. Like, I played hockey growing up with my brother and all his friends, all bigger than me. And I did it wearing a dress every single time. And I remember them being like, you're not a tomboy. And I was like, you're damn right I'm not a tomboy. I wanted them to know you got your ass kicked by a girl. You know what I mean? I didn't want there to be any confusion. I wasn't trying to be a boy. I didn't look like a boy. I can beat you and wear a dress. And I just think that's been very, very helpful. And of course I can sympathize, and I understand like the numbers. Like, if you do any research on a lot of these things, like, the numbers tell a very compelling story. But at the same time, you got to just look inward and say, well, what do I have control over? What can I accomplish? And so I think that, like, to answer your question, the longest way
that's beautiful
is like that. I think that just my tenacity as a young kid sticks with me.
Wow. What are the 5 things that you wish people would know? And it could be across the board. Just, maybe you're walking down the street and you're just like, man, I really wish people would blah, 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 blah. What are the 5 things that you just want to put into people's brains?
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple of things that I think of, when I think I'm feeling judged by like the average stranger. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly love that people think, because I can act a little bit like I have a big personality, and I get really excited about things. Like, the smallest thing can make me super excited. Like, I love Diet Coke. This is my guilty pleasure.
Okay.
So this could be one of the things. Yeah. But like, I'll get really excited about that. And I think that can come across as a bit naive and young. And I wish people would take the time to understand that I actually am quite educated.
Yeah.
And so I wish people, would take the time to learn about people a little bit more. And I have to learn that myself as well.
That's nice.
Like, do you want some fun things? I can give you some fun things about me.
Yeah.
I have a horrible singing voice. Like, it's dreadful. Like, my own mother tells me, please don't sing. It's really bad. And like, my mom loves everything I do. But because of that, when my friends and I used to go out for like karaoke, I'd be like, well, I don't want to be kind of the wallflower and not engage. So I figured out rap. I was like, I should rap. So my go-tos are Gangster's Paradise, Coolio.
Nice. Solid choice.
And Eminem, you and I were speaking about Eminem earlier before we got on here. Eminem, Lose Yourself. Those 2 are my jam. I don't even need the screen. I got that down pat.
Wow. And I bet you just bring it.
Oh, I try. And I think, for me, the best part is the juxtaposition between what I look like and the fact that I'm rapping. So as you can see, I'm quite girly in how I dress. Like, I'm always wearing stilettos and skirts and stuff like that. And I think that's just so funny that people they probably think I'm going to go up and sing like Pussycat Dolls or something like that. But no, hardcore rap is my thing. So that's, again, another like, don't judge the book by its cover.
Love it.
Other things. I grew up ski racing, as I mentioned. Like, I'm super into sports. I think sports, particularly for teenage girls, are incredible. I think it helps keep us focused and not hanging around some of those rebellion boys that we don't need to put ourselves next to. So yeah, I'm super, super passionate about kids in sports. I used to be a ski coach, actually. So I grew up ski racing. Right. So I have a need for speed. Yeah. I love like going fast and pushing myself outside my comfort zone, almost to the brink of like danger.
Yeah. Like, are we talking danger. Giant slalom? Are we talking like tucking down the race course? Like
all the above, both of them. Yeah. So I grew up in Ontario. We don't have mountains here. So there's no downhill skiing here. Yeah. So we did giant slalom and slalom. that was sort of my forte. But because of all the skiing I did growing up, I can essentially ski anywhere. I've been to Whistler. Nice. I've been to like in Alberta and whatnot. And like I've been on those downhill runs, and there's some times where I'm like, if I fell right now, I would probably hurt myself. Like I'm going way too fast, but like that. I have a need for speed. And so I coach, like I ski coach. I loved helping kids enjoy being outdoors in the winter and, you know, just helping them improve themselves through sports and what it does, like a team, because our ski racing here is like you train with a group of people. And at the time, your points would accumulate as a team. So you would win or lose as a team. And then obviously people who did particularly well would win individual medals. Yeah. I think we're the only place in the world that did this, by the way.
Interesting.
Like this team skiing business. But it was really cool because like you wanted each other to train really hard, even though you were technically racing against them.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a unique perspective. So love that. I'm the most competitive person you'll probably ever meet. That might come across. Well, maybe it's not surprising now that you know a little bit more about me, Michael, but very, very competitive. I have nearly lost friends over board games.
Sure. Okay. Talk to me about board games. What's your go-to?
What's the one where you play with the putty and then you have to do charades? Cranium.
Oh my God. I haven't played that in years.
Yeah. Well, I don't play board games anymore because I'm not allowed.
Are you like one of those people that would like destroy people in Monopoly? Like take all their money and leave them bankrupt and
like if I could. Risk is my jam. Like I love me some world domination. I love that stuff. Cranium, I just think is so funny because you need to be good at a couple different skill sets. And I think something about my background, like it's all over the place. So I'm like, I always say I'm a master of nothing. Mm-hmm. I am a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? I've done so many different things. So I'm kind of good at drawing and acting and making stuff out of Play-Doh. And I get so competitive. Like to me, I think it stems back from growing up. My brother, we used to like box and stuff. Like he would fight with me all the time and he'd win all the time. But he would always call everything, this is the all-time championship of the world. This round right now. Yeah. And it would always be like the round that I just won was never the all-time championship. It was always the next round and I would always lose. But so to me, like everything is that important. Like, my God, when the Raptors are in the playoffs 2 years ago now, I could hardly watch. Like I was having heart palpitations. The Olympics, when the Olympics are on, it's like two weeks where I'm like, I'm going to have a full-fledged anxiety attack. Like I want everyone that I want to win. I want them to win. I'm yelling at the TV and my mom doesn't get it. She's like, why are you so intense? But my dad, he's the competitive one. He understands. I must got it from him because I can't sleep at night. I cry over sports. Like it's a big thing.
Wow. You go all in, hey?
When I do something, I go hard. That's for sure. So I don't know if that was 5, but it felt like 10.
I think there's one more. I think I need one more.
You need one more.
Yeah. One more thing that you wish people would know.
I wish people would know that I'm actually a highly sensitive person. So after saying everything I did, like rap and competitiveness, doesn't necessarily, and like need for speed doesn't necessarily make you come across as the softest person. I am a tough love kind of gal. That's for sure. Ask my husband and any of my good friends. They will tell you I'm not easy to give sympathy cards, but at the same time, I'm very, very loyal and empathetic to my friends. And I can cry at a commercial. If there's a dog on a commercial, it's over. So that, I know that might surprise some people given what I've just said.
Interesting. That's so nice. Thank you for sharing those. That's amazing. I have a question. I have a business question for you. Mm-hmm. Because we talked earlier about, that you don't do one-on-one real estate, but you're working with investors. And because I'm curious, is there a good time to invest? Like, should you wait until the market is just perfect before you jump in? And how do you know when that is?
Michael, were you on my Instagram page earlier today?
Maybe.
Great question, because the saying goes for me is don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And what I mean by that is so many investors say, I have to time the market. We're at the top of the market. The bubble's going to burst. Everything's going to end.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, if you are a savvy investor and you are investing in a market that has strong economic foundation. So I'm going to use City of Toronto for an example, but of course I'm biased, but I'm just using it as an example. So here in Toronto, we don't necessarily we don't really manufacture anything here, right? So we have a lot of different industries, the tech industry, the arts scene, the education system here, the hospitals that are here, the entertainment district that's here. We've got a lot going on. And because of that, we attract a lot of immigrants to the country, or people to the city, and people from the rest of the country want to come here because this is where a lot of their jobs are. And so based on that, there just simply isn't enough supply, right? So I think given that fundament, knowing that, and obviously if the supply changes, we need to reassess things. But as of right now, the City of Toronto needs, I think on average, the last stat I heard was 75,000 units every single year to house all of the immigrants that are coming. Exactly. A lot of units, but we're only building, I think our best year was 32,000. On average, it's like 28,000.
Well, yeah.
So every year we're getting further and further behind. And then people say, well, this can't continue this way. I'm like, it's going to continue this way until we stop letting immigration in, and we're not doing that. That's a great thing.
Right. And it just keeps building out and out and out, right?
Exactly. And so my point is don't wait for 5 years from now when you think there's going to be some bubble burst to buy, because I've seen it. I've been in the industry for 6 years. I've seen what's happened with my own home that I purchased here in Toronto. It doubled in 8 years.
Wow.
My home has doubled in 8 years. I was helping people purchase new build condos 4 years ago for $600 a square foot in the city of Toronto. Yeah. Now I'm helping people purchase the same, if not smaller size condo for $1,200 a square foot.
Whoa.
So it's just going to keep going up because we're not fixing the supply. And so if you wait, you're going to price yourself out because the prices are going up more than you're saving. You know what I mean?
What about all this stuff where they say the bubble's about to burst, like that sort of fear mongering? Does that make people rush in more? Or does that have people retracting? Like what does that look like?
Technically that would make people retract, right? Because if they think that we're at the height of the market, if they suspect we're at the height of the market, everything's going to crash, then you're not going to buy at the height. You want to essentially buy low, sell high. That's the goal. You don't want to buy high and sell low. That's the opposite. But I mean, again, I'm just speaking to this market specifically because this is what I do. I don't want to speak to other markets because I don't sell real estate there. I sell real estate here. I know this market really, really well. I do not think that we are in any ways at a bubble bursting. I do think, though, there's the market's heating up for sure. And we're seeing double-digit growth over last year. And that can get a little bit concerning, but generally speaking, when that happens, the government gets involved. Yeah. They put some new restrictions on. They'll say, we'll increase the mortgage stress test. So they'll do something to kind of cool the demand. Right. That'll kind of, it won't bring prices down, but it will kind of level them out so that we're not seeing these double digit increase. What we really want to see is like a healthy, like 6.5 to 7% increase year over year. That's essentially what you're aiming for. Cause that's healthy. So I think now is still an incredible time to buy. I think given that the housing market is on fire right now and there's multiple offers for resale deals, I think purchasing new builds is actually a really compelling opportunity because you're not like bidding with other people. And if you're an investor and you're going into a bidding war, you're going to lose every time, or you should be losing because they're paying because they can picture their kids living there and their dog in the backyard.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
They'll pay a premium for that. Right.
Right.
We're an investor. It's like, you just got to look at the numbers. And if it doesn't make sense, then don't do it. And so right now it's tough for investors to buy resale deals for sure.
Gotcha. Wow. That's an education. Thank you.
There's your crash course.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, it's been so much fun. I have a non sequitur because I have no idea where your brain is on this. How do you feel about cryptocurrency right now?
Okay. You are asking someone that doesn't know much about cryptocurrency. I've tried to educate myself a little bit on it. And it's a bit over my head.
Yeah, but it's blowing up like crazy.
It's blowing up. I'm sure there's still a ton of room to make good money there.
Yeah.
But don't take my advice because I know nothing about
Me
it.
neither.
I don't like to speak about stuff I don't know, but I love this kind of stuff. Like, I think this is so fascinating. We live in such an interesting time.
Right.
And I think if you got some money and you're a bit of a risky person, like you're kind of like you like that level of risk, I'd say go for it. But
because it's volatile. But
yeah, I don't even know how to buy this yet. Like, I haven't even gotten there. So I don't even know what I would do. I'd have to ask somebody else.
Besides Diet Coke, what's your next guilty pleasure?
My next guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
I love a good bubble bath and a glass of wine.
Red or
Maybe
white?
that's all the above.
Oh, okay.
Rosé even.
Oh, see.
I'm not picky about my alcohol. I am not a booze snob. I figure if there's alcohol in it, I like it. So that's as far as that goes. But something about like taking, like, I only have time on Sundays because I work 6 days a week. And sometimes on Sunday, I'll sneak in a nice little bath for myself and I'll put on like a trashy, here's another guilty pleasure. Like, reality TV is my jam. I know.
So judging you right now.
I'm outside of myself, judging myself.
What's your reality show go-to?
Pretty much any Real Housewives of anything. It's so bad. Like, so sometimes, I was saying, like, don't judge a book by its cover. I wish people would get to know me. Like, this is one of those things. Like, I am my stereotype in a lot of ways. And this is one of those ways. So it's okay. Judge me. I don't care. I'm in my bath with my wine, watching my crappy shows, and I'm having a blast.
I love it. That's what you need. You need to decompress, right? You have to find those moments that refinish or refill you, I should say.
Yeah, all that mindless fighting that I get to watch. But I say to my husband, I'm like, it's not like he thinks he's above me because of his TV choices.
Like, so do you want to out him? What are his TV choices?
World War II anything. And I'm like, that's a negative. Like, he's like, it's so negative what you're watching. And I'm like, what I'm watching is negative. You're watching, atrocities happen.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. There are people in the world, Laura, that are, maybe they're just coming out of nutrition school, or perhaps, they've decided that they no longer want to buy for retail. They want to buy for themselves. Whatever it is, they're about to embark on a new adventure, something that's scary to them. I call these people rebels in waiting. What sort of advice would you give them to help them either overcome the fears they might have or take that first big step?
Well, I think I've already obviously said, like, I was just one of those people that followed my gut. I do think if your gut's telling you something, you should probably listen to it. Not to make rash and haste decisions in your life just because you didn't enjoy one day at work.
Yeah.
But to really listen to that, like, what is that nagging feeling every day? If you live for the weekend, like if you are like, I can't wait till Friday, because I was this person. Like, Friday was the best day of my life.
Yeah.
And Sunday was worse than Monday. It was like Sunday, I knew Monday was coming, and I was like, I hate my job. I hate this so much. Yeah. That is not a way to live. I don't think that's a way to live your life, because that's only 2 days of the week that you're enjoying, and 5 you're not.
Yeah.
So I would say listen to that gut. And then, in all honesty, once you do that, and try to enjoy the process a little bit more. I wish I had told myself this now that I'm a bit older, and I'm still telling myself this. I get so caught up in the goal, right? The big goals, and I want to attain all this stuff, and I want success, and I want money. I want the new house, whatever it is. But at the same time, like, it's great to have goals, but at the same time, you need to take time to enjoy the actual process of the work. Yeah. Because those 3 years that I thought were going to take a lifetime, and I was going to be 29 and 3 years of my life are going to be gone. Those 3 years are going to go by no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to go by no matter what. I was going to be 29, whether I did my MBA or I didn't do my MBA.
Right. Yeah.
So you may as well do the thing, but then when you're doing it, try to be present, try to be in the moment. Because my God, life is happening so fast to me. I'm scared to think how fast it's going to be when I'm like 60. Years are just going to go by like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really just trying to, like, enjoy what I'm doing. And then if it changes, that's fine too. And then enjoy that and stop thinking about the past so much.
That is awesome. Laura Stewart, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Michael. I hope I brought your listeners some value today. You are such an incredible host. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks so much, Laura.
Take care.